Welcome to episode 14 of Decode Disrupt, where insight meets interruption. I'm Nicolette.
And I'm Gabby. Welcome, guys. So we talk a lot about wanting safety, right? And we talk about safety in everything, relationships, partners, friendship, work places, safe spaces. There's a lot to unpack underneath all that. Um, I think the baseline question here is, what does safety actually feel like? And because your nervous system learned that chaos was normal, sometimes familiarity can sometimes feel like safety even when it isn't.
Mm, I hear you, Gabby. Ooh, let's say hello to who's here live. Thank you so much, Jenny and our girl Marlana. What's up, y'all? All right, so last week's episode was about dating, okay? And so today we're talking about what does safety feel like? All right. The reason why we're talking about this is because you can leave an unhealthy relationship. However, you can recreate that exact dynamic where anywhere else, at work with your boss, with your mom, your dad. You can stop chasing unavailable partners, but you're still chasing validation through achievement. You see? So it's like you're doing all this work, but then in another arena of your life, it's still not so good. So you can create boundaries with other people. Here's another example, but you have no boundaries with yourself. That one's kind of a funny one, but it's true, right, Gabby?
No, absolutely. And I think a lot of what we call relationship patterns or characteristic patterns or the patterns in our lives is more indicative of our current operating system, right? Because our operating system, when I say operating system, I mean like your nervous system, right?
Yeah.
It follows us everywhere, into our friendships, into our workspaces, into our creativity, our beliefs, our bodies. Our nervous system is basically our relationship with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe the question isn't simply, do I have safe people in my life? But it's building the life can you remain anchored in? Can you remain anchored in yourself so that you're the common denominator? I've used that before in all areas of your life, and now you're in congruence or coherence, which is a beautiful neuroscience term, right? You want coherence, you want ease, you want flow.
Yep.
We're gonna break this down, y'all. I'm really excited about this.
Yep. Because when we talk about emotional safety, right, I don't want to confuse anybody, right? We're not talking about you controlling every aspect of your life to where nothing um difficult happens, right? That's the difficult moments, difficult times, difficult time periods are inevitable in everyone's lives on a day-to-day basis, right? But what we're saying is creating a life where difficulty doesn't automatically cause you to abandon yourself.
It's a good one, Gabby. All right, let's go into why this topic matters. And, I'm going to invite you. I'm going to be a little woo in this moment. How do you anchor into yourself? You could put a hand on your heart. If you're not driving and you're safe, you can close your eyes and just take a breath and be like, why is this topic important to me? So that in that sense, you can get what you need from our time today. So, for me, this is a hot topic that I'm still working through in my life. Okay. A lot of the topics are. I feel sometimes we imagine safety as something another person gives us. And that one hits me hard. And I don't want to get into like childhood wounds, but if you've had them, that can create, how you move through life in your relationships. For example, if I find the right relationship, I'll finally feel safe. If I have enough money, I'll finally feel safe. If my career becomes stable, then I'll finally feel safe. Do you catch the pattern here? If
Yep.
everyone around me behaves the way I need them to behave, I can finally relax. Well, nah, that's not how it works. So, anyway, we're giving that safety that's outside of us the power, and that can always change, and that's so volatile. So, I'm just inviting us to how do we stay in our power and not from an egoic perspective. That's why this topic's important to me.
Absolutely. And I think for me personally, this topic is important, and I'm glad you brought it up. Is because one of my biggest shifts is realizing that the difference between safety and control, right? And when I say control, I'm not talking about controlling another person. I'm talking about trying to control, like I said earlier, every aspect of my life to ensure that there's no difficulty. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
In the military, we learn when we do training things, when we do different training, we have to go in and do all these mitigation measures, right? And I I didn't learn it from the military, but I take a variation of that and apply it to my own life. But what I learned is life isn't like that, right?
Mhm.
So the difference is control may say something like, I'm okay when I know what happens next, right?
Mhm.
But safety says, I don't know what happens next, but I trust myself to meet it, right? And that's the difference. It's a mindset shift. Is realizing that you can't control all of the outside circumstances, but knowing that you're built and contained enough to handle whatever throws at you. And it's a completely different operating system.
Wow, Gabby. I really appreciate like just you having that experience of being in the military because I know I'm not cut out for that, but I know you get so much from that, right? Like all the things like you even mentioned
Yeah.
privately, I could sleep anywhere. I'm like, that is a fucking skill set,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah, when we plan the trip. Yeah.
You know?
Sleep anywhere.
Like I'm like, can you just like give
Yeah.
me via osmosis, like download that shit into me?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dude, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming back to the discussion, so we're going
Yeah.
to talk about the microcosm. So this is kind of like the inner workings of stuff where we take like one area of your life and how it affects the macrocosm because they're all interrelated. How, like, if you've ever done yoga and you hear this like this trite saying, how you do one pose is how you do all the poses. It's like, bitch, I hate chair pose. I'm like, I hate chair pose,
Yeah.
but the teacher is saying literally how you approach it is how you approach everything. Do you want to get over it quickly? Can you be curious? Do you automatically hate shit? So if that resonates, I kind of like that. How you do one thing is kind of how you do everything. So here's some more
Yeah.
questions. Do you overfunction at work and in relationships? Do you abandon creative projects when uncertainty appears? Do you confuse being needed with being valued? Do you override
Yes,
your
yes, yes.
I know. I'm like, do you override your body in the same way you override your intuition? Do you
Yes. I did
constant
not do it today. I did not
Gabby's
do it. I was sick and I did not go to the gym today. I almost went to the gym,
let's
but I
celebrate
did
that.
not.
Let's celebrate that because
Yes.
the gym is
I
also
missed the gym though.
I know when you work when you tap out and you miss that like the endorphins and the discipline and all that shit. I know. So let's celebrate Gabby.
Yes. Thank
More
you. Thank you.
questions. Do you constantly look outside of yourself for reassurance? Does rest feel safe or does productivity feel safer?
Activity.
I know. Side note, and I have one more question before we forget, but I literally am hating like, do you ever have like a phone call with a friend? How was your day? Oh, I was productive. Like that is just a fucking default answer, bitch.
Yes, is everyone's default answer.
Bitch, that's totally capitalism insidious. Like I can't just say, you know what, I was fucking lazy and it was awesome. Or, you know,
Yes. I'm doing nothing today. It
I'm
feels
doing
great.
nothing today and
I'm
I
meal prepping.
thank you. Thank you.
I've cleaned my toilet so far and I've washed my dishes and now I'm meal prepping.
Girl, there were times when I was depressed and I couldn't even do that. So,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
One more
I'll
question.
finish the bathroom.
Damn, girl. Look at it. And she's sick. Okay. Can you remain connected to yourself when another person is disappointed?
Yes.
Gabby said yes on that one. Good job.
Disappointing everybody. Everybody's getting disappointed. I think I posted on Substack today. I think it was on Nikita's post. No, it was on Letitia's post. I posted that today. She had posted something about disappointing others, and I said, I'm handing appointment like Oprah handed out the cars. Let them pay the tax.
You remember, Gabby, we're fucking around with this, and it's like, I'm gonna just look under your seat, bitch. What's there? Disappointment. You get disappointed.
Disappointment.
Fucking new car, bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Key line here. Okay. You don't build emotional safety in one area of your life. You build an operating system that travels with you.
Yes. And that's important. Like people don't understand like the nervous system is really the key to life.
Agreed.
And it's the most misunderstood or I don't know if under understood is a term, but like when I started getting into this neuroscience stuff, it really reframes your mind. Truly.
Yes. And I also want to speak to it became a tagline when I was still teaching in the Bay Area and I was dysregulated myself and didn't have a fucking clue when some bitch was telling me, regulate your nervous system. I'm like, easy for you to say because you don't have like survival mode and bills to pay.
Yeah,
So let's hope that we can give everyone a way to understand what it means to take care of your nervous system. It's not a privilege thing. Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
It isn't.
Mm-mm. Okay. Let's go into the decode portion. What is emotional
Okay.
safety? Let's have a baseline so we have a general understanding. It's not an absence of discomfort. If you haven't heard me and Gabby talk for the last 5 minutes, shit is uncomfortable if you're a human being. So, what emotional safety is not, it's not certainty and it's not control. It's not rearranging your life so that nothing can activate you. That's a good one because in toxic
That's a
spirituality,
great one.
right? It's like guru energy. It's like meditate and do all the things and eat clean and do ayahuasca so that you can sit in the clouds. Bitch, you human.
Yep, and it's they also guru energy is also toxic in that it tells you to just cut off people, places, things at any signs of discomfort, not at any signs of they actually betrayed you or did you wrong, any sign of discomfort. You said good morning to me and your voice was slightly elevated a couple octaves. I detaching from you. That's not when you detach. You know what I'm saying? It's not experiencing no discomfort. That's not what we're talking about here, right? Like, I understand cutting someone off for betrayal. I understand cutting someone off because they don't have your best interest. But at any slight discomfort, no, I can't do toxic. What is it called? Toxic positivity?
Yes, yes.
Is
And I love that you name that, Gabby,
no.
because we literally could do a montage right now of every time we say cut them off. And you literally wrote a piece on cut them off. But do you see the discernment
Oh yeah,
Gabby
absolutely.
offered, right? It's
Yeah,
nuance. Yeah.
it's very nuanced.
Fucking love that you brought that up. All right. So
Yeah,
emotional safety is the ability to remain anchored in yourself while life moves around you. That's some Jedi stuff, yo.
it
So that
is.
truly you can experience uncertainty without your brain and your nervous system creating a story. Okay? Because that's the brain's job is to analyze and create a story. So you can experience conflict without abandoning yourself. What would that be like? You can experience disappointment without making it mean you are unsafe. You can want something without needing it to complete you. Oh, all this is so good. Safety becomes an anchor rather than a circumstance. Because for me, like it's everything is weather or information. You can't control the weather. Information's always going to be there. It's what you do with it.
Yep. I think that's the most important thing to say. And I'm glad you name all of that stuff, especially when we're talking about what is emotional safety. I have nothing else to add to that. I think you did a great job summarizing that.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you take
Yeah.
decode for one?
All right. So our first point with the coding is familiarity. It's not necessarily safety. So if your nervous system recognizes patterns before it evaluates whether those patterns are healthy, right? So you may whether it was a familial dynamic growing up in, or a work dynamic that's just work culture, or a friend dynamic and that's just how we interact with each other. You may be noticing patterns, right? But that doesn't necessarily, and you're familiar with those patterns, but that's not necessarily safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something can seem familiar because you've experienced it repeatedly, but that don't make it safe, right? Overworking can seem familiar. I'm very familiar with that.
One.
Um, yeah, hypervigilance, definitely familiar with that. Emotionally unavailable friendships can feel familiar.
Yeah.
We normalizing things,
Like,
right? Being needed can feel familiar. Chaos can feel familiar. Even anxiety can feel familiar, right? And sometimes genuine safety feels uncomfortable precisely because it's unfamiliar. That's
mhm.
why when you see someone that is very healthy, and you're around certain environments and they stick out like a sore thumb, right? It's because they're operating different from what everyone else is familiar with, right? But they may be the only healthy person in the room because the
Well,
dynamics that they're surrounded with, just because everyone else is familiar with it, doesn't necessarily mean that those are healthy dynamics. That's just been the norm, and no one's
yeah.
ever spoken up to say this isn't normal. This is weird. This isn't healthy. No one's ever took the stand to say this is not what it's supposed to be. And so everyone else is looking at the perfectly healthy person like they're an alien. And they're like, "No, this is weird. This is not normal. Life
Yeah.
should not be like this. Work should not be like this. Familiar dynamics should not be like this. Friendships should not be like this." And they're the only ones willing to take a stand and say this is wrong.
Right.
And they're the bad guy 9 times out of 10 because
Gabby,
y'all because you're
yes,
familiar with it. No,
you,
I've been there. I've been there plenty
I
of
know.
times.
You own
Yeah,
this. You articulated it
yeah,
so well. And I feel that this is like an anthem for cycle breakers and just anyone who
yeah,
questions things, So thank you for naming
yeah.
that because familiarity does not equal safety or the right way.
Absolutely.
Fuck
Nope.
no. And
You're,
this is where we
if
can.
you,
Good.
I know I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to our point where we can respect elders, and especially in our cultures that you don't question an elder, not when it's familiar and perpetuating like more trauma and pain.
Yeah,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
yeah. I've always questioned the elders. I'm like, this doesn't seem right to me. It
Yeah.
seems.
So just putting that out there, and
I
I
don't
want to,
know.
just see people who are resonating with this because thank you for your service and your bravery.
Yeah. Familiarity says, I know this. And safety says, I can remain myself here. And those aren't the same things, right? So if your nervous system, so if you find yourself, you're able to thrive in a somewhat toxic or chaotic environment, you need to check yourself and check your nervous system. But I mean, unfortunately, unless someone's introduced to something else, they don't know that they're in a toxic environment because it's familiar,
Right.
right?
I really
Yeah.
think we could play. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Ah,
I like have a
that should
soundtrack in my head all the time, man. Anyway,
uh, that should have
we
been the name of this show. That should have been the episode name.
exactly. All right, we go with that decode point, Gabby.
Yeah, you have anything else to add?
That was hella. Okay,
Yeah.
decode point number 2. So we're talking about safety as an anchor, not an environment. So that means it's everywhere you go. It's who you are. It's your baseline. That would give you so much inner confidence. Imagine that, right? Like you can walk into
Yep.
chaos, you can go anywhere, and you're invincible. And that's your birthright. I believe that's our birthright. Confidence is not an outside game. I'm digressing, but that's
It's
what
not.
comes for me. Okay. So let's
Yeah, I
dive.
think everyone should be confident and secure. I had this conversation the other day. Not the but I had Friday I was having a discussion with somebody and they was like, "You seem very secure." I said, I am very secure. I've always been very secure." I said I don't like insecure people. Like I think the number one toxic trait for me because probably one of the easiest ones security, because insecurity leads to other things, right? I said, "No, I don't have a tolerance for insecure people because it leads to other things." And I said, "I really don't know why people are insecure because I feel like everyone in the world should be secure."
I believe
I
you.
feel like
Yeah, go ahead. Please continue.
I see security, like the feeling of being secure, like the feeling of love. Like everyone should feel it. Everyone should experience it. That's really how I feel about that emotion. If it is an emotion, or it's maybe yeah, a feeling, emotion.
God, I wish you would
Yeah,
write 10 commandments.
I should have. I should have. You know.
Rewrite them, like, duh.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think everybody.
going a little deeper into this safety as an anchor, not environment.
Yeah.
We often imagine safety as the perfect environment, and that is probably impossible. But hey, what do I know? So, this could look like having the perfect partner, the perfect job, enough money, enough certainty. Does this sound familiar? I literally just said this like a few minutes ago. Oh, a world
Yep.
with no conflict, no rejection, no instability. No, but external circumstances will always move. And I don't know, man. It's like the older I get, and I really believe the older you get more wisdom if you choose to embrace how life, kicked your ass so many times. And you're like, all right, all right. So when you're anchored, it's different, man. It's like you don't lose your center when life comes at you. Life is gonna life. So the question becomes, can you remain connected to yourself when something outside of you changes? And what's the only constant in life? Change.
Change.
Like, do you ever just think about it, Gabby? Like, we're on a floating rock in the middle of like the universe, and then the shit people like care about, you're just like, I don't know. Just get perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So with so much going on, whether that's in the world or internally or in your own lives externally, yeah, the things people choose to focus on are fascinating to me.
That's a very kind word. So here's my angle. Being anchored doesn't mean nothing will move. It means everything can move, but it doesn't take me with it.
I like that.
I do too.
Yep. Yep. And that's the perfect analogy for being anchored. I like that.
Yeah, that's hot. Okay, key line. Safety isn't controlling the ocean. It's knowing where your anchor is. Damn, that's hella visual, y'all.
Yes. 'Cause you can't control the ocean, but
Uh-uh.
when things get rocky, you gotta be able to anchor.
That is so beautiful and poetic about nature, because literally, if you get down to it, we are nature itself. So we're trying to control the inner nature, the outer nature in the world, and that is just a recipe for disaster. And I could speak from direct experience on that one. All right, we good with that?
Yeah, we're great. I love that. I love the way you sum that up, the ocean and the anchor
Thank you.
analogy. I love that.
Now I'm gonna box free and pretend I'm raving in the 90s.
Okay, okay. So what's our third decode point?
You
Your
go.
operating system follows you everywhere, right? So your internal operating system or your nervous system says, I have to earn love. You may also believe, like if that's what your internal operating system says, I have to earn love. You may also believe you have to earn rest, you have to earn belonging, you have to earn creative legitimacy, and you have to earn your place at work, right?
Mm,
But the context changes, right? The context changes, right? The different things that you feel like you have. That is it. The pattern is you feel like you have to earn, right?
yes.
That is why changing partners, jobs, friendships, cities, or circumstances doesn't always change your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we change the scenery without changing the operating system, right? So the key line here is you can change your entire life and still recreate the same emotional environment. So if you don't do the internal work, if you don't get out of familiar thought patterns and familiar habits that aren't serving you your highest good and retrain your nervous system to learn something new, you're gonna keep experiencing the same thing.
Yes. And that was perfect, Gabby. And I will add, y'all know if I take a vacation, I need a vacation, and you think life's going to be amazing when you come back, bitch, you went on that vacation, you were miserable sometimes. Or maybe you turned it up and it was amazing, but what? You came back to your life and you hated it. So,
Yep.
and people think they can move. That's a big one. That shit gonna follow you. It's
Oh,
gonna follow
absolutely.
you because you're the thing, and you haven't done the inside work. Like, there's no shortcut to do the inner
Yep.
work. Why do you think our tagline is where insight meets interruption? Last episode we talked about therapizing the words, but where's the action embodiment?
Yep.
You got to interrupt it and do different over and over and over again.
No, absolutely.
Okay,
I agree with that. You gonna take the next one?
sure. Okay, emotional safety has a sound. Ooh, this one's a very like sensual episode where you have like a lot of imagery and like sound.
I like that.
Me too. Safety sounds like, I need some time to think. I don't know yet. I changed my mind. That hurt me. I disagree. Hey, I need help. I can't do that today. I made a mistake. I'm disappointed, and yet I'm still okay. I want this, but I don't need to abandon myself to have it.
Absolutely.
I have to learn to use my words. Do you know how many adults cannot do half of these things in the
Yeah.
workplace, in relationships, in families? Do you know how much suffering it causes?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Most adults can't do this, and it's crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
It's like they want to protect and not cause pain. You're doing more harm,
They're
y'all.
good. Yep. Absolutely.
Safety is not silence. It's not a constant agreement. It's the freedom to tell the truth, you guys, without believing connection will disappear. And as a child of trauma, I can attest to this. If you're afraid of authority or retaliation or someone having power over you, we have to tell our nervous system we're free and safe. That is your birthright.
Yep.
Please remember that for the sake of your unique gifts in this world as the human being you are. Okay. So the key line here is emotional safety sounds like constant reassurance. Oh, excuse me. Emotional safety sounds less like constant reassurance and more like permission to tell the truth.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's all, hug ourselves and say, we have the right to tell the truth. And we're afraid of what the other person or, what might come of that. But that fear is literally, I feel, more insidious and painful.
Yep.
All right. You want to
It
take the next?
is. Yeah, your body knows when your life requires too much recovery. The body keeps score.
Yeah, it does.
So I think sometimes we normalize lives that constantly dysregulate us, right? We spend the job we spend every weekend recovering from, the creative practice driven entirely by self criticism, my Substack, the schedule that requires us to override exhaustion, the schedule that requires us to override exhaustion. I'm a recovering workaholic. But I don't know if I'm a worker. I thoroughly enjoy working. I literally enjoy working. And it's not because I don't know. Maybe I need to do some nervous system work around that. I don't know. But the relationship where we constantly monitor someone else's mood,
Mm,
guilty. And because we can survive those environments, we call them manageable. But survivable and are not the same thing, right? Because when you survive something, you eventually have to recover from it. You have to heal from it, right?
mhm.
When you sustaining something is a lot different, right? So the key line here is maybe the goal isn't building a life you're strong enough to survive. Maybe it's building one you don't constantly have to recover from.
Yeah. Thanks for naming that, Gabby, because we have a term called the Sunday scaries.
What's
You
that?
know, I literally lived it when I worked for the United Way in Silicon Valley. Like my fucking Sundays, I was paralyzed because I just didn't want to go back to work because I was just fucking frozen and overwhelmed. So I know I'm not the only person on this planet who experienced the Sunday scaries where Sunday is your day to do whatever. But if you have a mind like mine, you're just anxious in the future and you know what I mean? And you don't want to go to work. So it kind of speaks to what's survivable and what's manageable and what you tolerate. I just wanted to put that out there in case someone needed
Yeah.
to know that that's not a healthy way to live because week after week I lived that way and then I got major depression.
Oh
So
wow.
and this is not the time or the place to really unearth that because that was a fucked up time for me. So please, 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 if that resonates with you, don't go there. Okay. So
Nope.
here's a teaching moment. Emotional safety doesn't mean life stops activating you. It means activation no longer automatically becomes self abandonment. And if you don't know the term activation, that's a nervous system term for triggered. That's another way to look at it. You're activated. You're like on one and you're like, no one, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not necessarily rage, but it's definitely like you're in a hyper state where you're extra sensitive and volatile and you're activated, right? And just imagine how that's not a place of calm and centeredness and peace. And then you could really fuck shit up if you're, making decisions and interacting with people from an activated state.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Thank you. So before we go into Disrupt, I want to say hi. We've had Cover Girl enter the room.
Oh,
Kita's
cover girl, first time joining.
Oh, hey, I like your emoji string in your name. Yeah, so as always, we want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your insight, your wisdom. So lead us into disruption, Gabby.
Okay, so let's disrupt some things today, right? So
Mhm.
remember, we're talking about safety. So our first disruption point is safety is not control, right? Control tries to eliminate uncertainty. Like I said, you can't control every situation, every person, every environment that you're going to be in. That is beyond your control. But what you can control is how you feel in those moments, right? So the safety increases our capacity to live inside that uncertainty, right? Um, when you want to control your environment, right? You want to know what happens next. What happens if I make this move? What happens if I say this? What happens if I go this way instead of that way? What happens if um I talk this person but don't talk to this person? But with safety, so control says, let me know what happens next, right? And
Mhm.
what safety says is whatever happens next, I'm ready for whatever because
Yes,
I'm still gonna be grounded within myself. And
that's
that's the big difference.
thank you. I'm mad at that.
Yeah.
All right. Disruption point number 2. This is a PSA announcement. Please stop outsourcing your anchor. Once again, for
Yes.
people in the back, stop outsourcing your anchor, which is your birthright to be a centered, calm, grounded being. Okay. Take your power back. Let's discuss this. Sometimes we unconsciously, or maybe you do it consciously, appoint people and circumstances as your emotional anchors. Wow. It could be a relationship, a friendship, a job, money, success, attention, being wanted, being needed. However, when those things inevitably shift, what? We feel like we're disappearing with them, or our moods are tied to that. Do you see how unstable and how I did that for like almost all my life because I didn't know anybody.
Absolutely.
And so wherever you're at in your journey, when this episode meets you, first of all, don't go gaslighting yourself. Just have a moment of grace and compassion, and do differently. It could be that simple.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So therefore, the disruptions not becoming hyper independent. I did that. That's a trauma response. It's learning connection without self abandonment. We're mammals. We need safe connection. Okay, but
Absolutely.
not lose ourselves. I'm speaking to my little inner child right now. Like, just, like I have a right to exist exactly as I am. Whatever flies out my mouth, I own it. I hope I don't offend anyone, but I will do repair. Do you know what I mean? A lot of grown ass folks can't do repair or own their shit. And that's all we're asking.
No.
No one's asking for perfection.
I think, and I just got this intuitively while you were talking. I think the reason a lot of people can't own their stuff or do repair is shame. I think a lot of people feel shame about admitting when they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? There's embarrassment and shame in associated with being wrong as an adult because you feel like, well, I'm old enough. Well, you've been childish your entire adult life. You're 50 and childish. You're 50 and immature. You're 50 and have never heard the words emotional intelligence. You're 50 and you're still insecure around people that are younger than you. You're 50 and you're still sabotaging people that are younger than you. You're 50 and you have nothing to offer the world because you have no wisdom, because you've never gone through anything difficult,
I
because you're ashamed of everything. So I think it's just shame and embarrassment. I think that's really why a lot of grown people, and I know I'm going on a tangent right now, but this is if you know me, you know me, but the audience may not know me. I'm very sarcastic. So when you see me going on these tangents, they're not real tangents. That's just me being petty and sarcastic in the moment.
just have to
Um,
say that, Gabby. It's you speaking your
yeah,
truth. And I feel
yeah.
I'm gonna call you out with love that you're softening your impact right now.
I have to soften my impact. People can't take me at full capacity.
Well, that's their
So I have
problem.
to
Problem,
I
but
know, but the world is not ready for me at full capacity. I promise you, the world is not ready for me at full capacity.
I relate to
So I
that.
have to soften it.
I
Yeah,
relate to that.
yeah,
You want your message somewhat received, right?
yeah.
I,
But no, I think it's shame. I think it's shame and embarrassment from not knowing what they don't know. But you can't be ashamed to learn new things, right?
dude, that's a whole
I
nother.
can take correction from I can take correction from a 3-year-old, and I won't feel any shame about it. I'm like, huh, I learned something new today. You expanded my perspective. You know?
That's a good way to live in meditation. They call
Yeah.
it beginner's mind. Like you're Buddhist, right? Or you practice Buddhism, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah, Buddhism is my practice.
you're
Yeah.
never the expert, and that's why I fuck with
No,
people who don't like. Oh man, there's so much in the wellness world since I was a part of it for 15 years in the Bay. There's so much. I don't know if guru energy is the right word, but like people who fucking can't look at themselves like that and just say, "I made a mistake. I don't know."
yeah,
People can't say, "I don't know,"
yeah.
Because of
Yes, a
that,
lot of people.
that fear. So I know that's like a hot topic, and maybe we'll go back to that
Yeah,
later.
we should explore that in September. Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do the key line here. I don't even know where I'm at. I was so present. An anchor can connect you to something without requiring you to disappear into it. So there that goes again. Don't disappear. Don't self-edit. Don't self-abandon. Hold your center and be present and co-create with the person with you. Do you know if you come back to love and you come back to truth, it could be so simple.
It can all be so simple.
Yes. All right. I don't know whose turn it is.
Oh.
Want me to do this one? Is that where we're at? Yeah.
Nah, you just did the last one.
See, I got lost in the sauce. Thank you.
I think yeah, you just did the last one. Okay. The same pattern wears different clothing. We talked about this a little bit in the code. Now we're gonna disrupt it, right? The relationship pattern becomes the workplace pattern. The workplace pattern becomes the friendship pattern. The friendship pattern becomes the creative pattern. Different setting, same exact operating system, right? So how you operate in one aspect or one realm or one situation in life is typically how you're going to operate in all areas of your life, right?
Mhm.
And you may, most people, I'll say 95% of the world don't know they do this. But
Mhm.
those that are astute in psychology and neuroscience can point out the pattern, you know? Because how you show up in one area is typically how you're going to show up in other areas. There are very few people that can camouflage and blend into different settings depending on where they are, right? And so, but the underlying thing here is your operating system. You've been conditioned or you've been trained or through whatever environmental what's the word I'm looking for? Influences
Mm.
to operate a certain way, right? And in order for you to feel safe internally, you've masked or I'm guilty of this. I don't say a lot of stuff I talk about. I've lived it, right?
Uh-huh.
So you and in turn you begin to mask or show up differently or not show up as the full version of yourself based on how based on the backlash you received, right?
Mhm.
So if the pattern is I must perform to belong, you will find endless places to perform in, right?
Mm.
But if the pattern is I can remain myself and still belong, your entire life reorganizes differently, right? And you want to find those rooms, those workplaces, those friendships, those romantic relationships, those creative opportunities where you can show up 100 your authentic self and still be loved and received because we all have something unique to offer the world, whether it's a skill, a talent, a perspective. We all have something unique, right? And the only way for you to really shine,
Mm.
right, is to
Mm.
show up as your unique self, right? But you
Yes.
can't do it without doing the baseline work with your nervous system and your operating system. And that's all I have to say about that. Do you have anything, Nicolette?
Oh, that was another perfection.
Oh.
Damn. Okay. Disruption point number 4. Please stop calling endurance safety. I feel that endurance is almost code for like martyrdom. Like
Ooh.
goddamn cloak and said, "Oh, I'm strong and I can endure shit."
Stop cussing me out, Nicolette. All right. Guilty. All right. I'll let you.
Venus and Cancer's like, "Oh no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go be a crab in the corner and cry, bitch."
Yeah.
Okay, real talk. So, being able to tolerate something does not make it good for you. It does not
Nope.
make you a better human being. You don't win a invisible lottery, y'all. Please, please,
No,
please.
you don't.
No, there ain't no payout for that. What you're gonna get is probably an autoimmune disease. I can speak for that directly, or a mental illness, or a body injury or something, so that your soul is like, nah, stop doing that. Okay. Being
Yeah.
capable of carrying enormous amounts does not mean you should. I'm
Absolutely not.
literally learning like from my ancestors, like they be saying, stop carrying that shit, girl. We suffered and struggled. Why are you doing that? The
Yep.
ancestors are like, y'all are tripping. Do you know how good y'all have it and you still want to suffer and struggle? That's a whole nother topic. Being
It is.
under pressure does not mean pressure should become your permanent environment.
It should not.
Nah. Like we know like pressure makes diamonds and it's good once in a while, but if that's your normal operating system, you're gonna burn out, girl. Mm-mm.
Yep.
Sometimes competence hides dysregulation. That's a hot set of words right
Yep.
there.
That's those are harsh cuts. You're saying a lot of F bombs.
Thank you. Because what does capitalism
That's a
do?
harsh one.
Rewards the people like fake it till you make it, head down. I will eat my own
Yep.
kids to survive. You know, that kind of shit, dude. Mm-mm.
Yep.
Sometimes resilience becomes an excuse. Oh, to stay somewhere that continually requires resilience. I hated that. Like people would always
Yes.
go like, "Oh, you're gonna quit your job? You're only." I'm like, I know it's not good for my soul, but you were only there for X amount. We need to stop doing that to people. Just stop.
Absolutely.
Not helpful. Key line:
Nope.
your ability to survive an environment is not proof that that environment's safe.
It's not. Survivability and sustainability are two totally different things.
I love
If you
that.
have to constantly survive an environment, that environment is not sustainable.
Mm-mm. No, ma'am.
Yes.
That one's gonna be
Not at all.
for a lot of people to swallow, especially
Yeah.
folks. Okay, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say because I am so sick of. I've had to work in so many corporate or like workplaces that were so toxic because lifers don't move on and they stay
Nope.
and they fucking show up doing no work, bring all their attitude, and expect me to carry the weight, and I do because I care. No more
Yeah.
invisible labor. Hell no.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Can you give us the architect's note, please?
Oh yeah. So this week's architect's notes. Okay. So systems reproduce their underlying rules, right?
Mm,
So if your internal rule is I'm safe when everything around me is predictable, you spend your life trying to control variables, right? But if the rule becomes I am safe because I know how to stay connected to myself, you build something differently entirely. The goal isn't to construct a life where nothing changes. Change is what? Inevitable. It's the only thing guaranteed in life, right? So
yes.
it's constructing a self that you don't have to leave when it does. And that's my architect note for the week. So the key disruption here for the decode portion is the safest life isn't a life where nothing goes wrong. It's the life where you no longer have to lose yourself when something does go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
An additional key line, your life becomes safer when your relationship with yourself stops being the first thing you sacrifice under pressure.
Wow. Wow. I like how you added under pressure there,
Yes.
Gabby. And Marlena says this is her greatest surrender era.
Yes.
I see you.
Yes. Stop controlling. Yes. You're almost on the other side. I think this is the biggest lesson. You're
Hell yeah,
almost there, Marlena. You're almost there.
for you. And yeah, trust me, I've been saying this is where we do the initial work. I've been saying surrender and teaching it and doing guided meditations, but was I surrendering?
No.
Out of control.
I mean, we're all guilty, right? We've all been guilty of preaching something we don't practice. We know better, but we don't always do better, right?
Yeah. And I don't want
Yeah,
to villainize that version of myself because she hustled hard and helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people have a better day. So,
absolutely.
but here's
But
where stopping that pattern where it's like I literally sit my ass on the floor and I'll feel my feelings and I'll cry and I don't know shit and I got a family member that's terminal and I'll be like, I cannot carry this, y'all. I cannot. There's divine
yeah,
intelligence. There's God. There's source. There are other humans on this planet who, if I ask for help, want to help me.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I have to learn and ask for and accept.
Absolutely. But you know what's I got another
Please.
thought while you were talking.
Yeah.
Um, you said something, and it was back when we were talking about practicing what we don't preach, right? When you said you've always known this and you've told people this, but you weren't doing it yourself. I think it's very humbling how life has a way of bringing you to circumstances where you have no other choice but to implement your own wisdom. And it may look different for all of us, but once you embody the wisdom, like life will literally humble you. Okay, you already know this, so why are you still operating this way? You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Life
Yes.
has a way. You can't practice what you can't
Yeah,
not practice what you preach
exactly.
forever.
That you added that. And Marlena
Yeah.
says, tired of reacting. Oh yeah. Yeah. What comes up for me is reaction. I have hella fire energy. So yeah, my natural predisposition is to like puff and fight and combat,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
I gotta check that shit. I gotta alchemize that shit and ground myself with some earth energy or cool myself off with some water energy or whatever, right? Reactions. And that's also a nervous system thing. If you're dysregulated or uncentered, then life, you're just literally fucking swatting everything at life and just acting like the 2-year-old inside that,
yep.
thank you, Marla.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Hate that it hate that it does that. Yep. Take
No.
a breath of some air. Yeah.
Yes. There you go. Take a fucking breath, right? That pause, pauses
Mm-hmm.
so potent. Because in the 90s, I swear my family, we were just like witty and fast. And what came out our mouth, you can't take that shit back. But we would just be like hella quick. You know that game Dozens or like your mama this? Like we were just like, well, fuck you and your fat ass and like all those things. It was
Yeah.
so bad. It was so bad.
No, it was. It really was. But
Thank you
we made it.
for this, everyone. We're here on the recalibration period
Time
because
to recalibrate.
we design these episodes with a lot of intention. Decoding is not always fun. We got to get a baseline. And then disruption,
Decoding is the hardest part.
I,
Disruption is pretty.
I agree.
Decoding, disrupt are hard. Decoding because we have to figure out okay, what's the underlying issue, and then to go in and disrupt. Okay, how do we tackle this? Right.
Yeah. So by the time we get here, I'm usually exhausted because we're talking about deep shit. This is
Yeah.
real life. And so we offer you a recalibration period to help orient your nervous system from the way it was perhaps activated, whether you felt sad, whatever you felt, anger, like those are natural emotions. So here's your invitation to recalibrate with us. Here's a reflection question. Where in your life are you mistaking familiarity for safety? Could it be a friendship, your workplace, your creative practice, your business, your relationship with your body, your relationship with achievement? And what would that area look like if the goal weren't simply functioning, but feeling anchored, right? What would that feel like? Just being anchored. Okay. So here's a takeaway for you. Notice where you leave yourself this week. Like have your journal out. Like where did you either shut down what you wanted to say, didn't express something? Like what does leaving yourself mean? It can mean different things to different people at different times. But you start, going, oh shit, I abandoned myself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't dramatic. It's the tiny moments, right? This is where your greatness comes online. This is where folks who really, you want to be your best, it takes this type of work. So
Absolutely.
you're honoring your yeses, you're honoring your no's, you're not overriding exhaustion. Because I literally tell all the people in my life, it's a small number, and I say, I am using language where I don't have to perform for rest or earn rest. Don't expect a beautiful update from me. If my day was literally, I had to stare out the window to fucking regulate my nervous system. Do I have concerns about money and that? Yeah. But I want to approach it from a centered, regulated place where solutions
Absolutely.
and infinite possibilities live, right? So this is continuing your takeaway. When someone's mood becomes more important than your own truth, that could be where you abandon yourself. When uncertainty makes you rush towards a decision, y'all, really, let's stop hustle urgency culture. Take the time you need. Say, I need a minute and mean it.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep on it, okay? Here's another example. When you look outside yourself for permission to trust what you already know, not your friend, not your mom, not your dad, not your partner, whatever, your inner authority, and ask, can I continue to stay with myself here? You want to take
I
over
think.
the step?
Yep. So action step. All right. So this one, normally every week, I think every episode, the first 13 episodes, we ask you to choose one area, right? We're taking it a step further this week.
Yeah.
So this week's you're gonna do a safety audit. This episode was on safety. So you're gonna do a safety audit. So you're gonna choose 4 areas, right? Friendship, work, creativity, and your body, right? So within these 4 areas, this is what you're gonna do. So for friendship, What makes friendship feel safe to me? And then answer that for yourself, right? For your work, what makes work feel what make work life feels sustainable and anchored? For creativity, we're all creatives on here. What conditions allow me to create without making creativity another place I have to prove myself? For your body, you're going to ask, what does my body experience as care, consistency, rest, nourishment, and trust? And then ask yourself, where, and then figure out once you got those four areas down and you answer all four of those questions, then ask yourself, where am I creating safety and where am I recreating familiarity?
Woo.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's the starting point for this week, right?
Okay.
So if you find certain areas you're already creating safety, hey, you're good to go. If other areas are, hey, it's just familiar, I don't really want to do it like this. It's kind of always felt off anyway. I never really liked doing it this way. I never really, this never quite fit. You might want to reevaluate a thing or two. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the bonus practice. When you know yourself reaching for certainty, right? Take a pause. Instead of immediately asking, what should I do? Try ask one of these three questions, right?
Mm.
What do I know right now? What do I need right now? What can remain undecided? Let your anchor come before you answer, right? And the final reflection. Maybe emotional safety was never supposed to mean creating a perfectly controlled life. Maybe it means creating a relationship with yourself strong enough to hold an unpredictable one. Friendships change, careers change, relationships change, creative work changes, your body changes, your circumstances changes. The anchor is not that nothing moves. The anchor is that you remain, right? So that's the purpose of this week's practice is to make sure that you know your internal anchor, right? So
Mm.
the key line here, safety is not knowing that nothing will change. Safety is knowing you won't abandon yourself when it does.
That's really beautiful, Gabby. That is so powerful. And one thing I want to add to this is so great. When you invite us to reflect on where we're already creating safety, that is a really good behavior modification hack as a behavior coach. It's like you look for where you're already successful. Some people, like human beings, have a hard time to celebrate. Like there were studies done that there's more cultures that are better at celebrating, but it's like almost a human thing to not be able to celebrate oneself. You know, they can
Yep.
celebrate others, their children, their pets. But I know Gabby's good at this. Like loving yourself and celebrating yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do. So the reason I bring this up is if you're always the goal is so big, like, oh, I need to lose 50 pounds, I need to run a marathon, and you don't stop and come back to, in this exact example, is where am I already creating safety? Then you're downplaying what you're already doing, you know? And so I
Yeah.
think that's really important with anything, even outside of this episode, is celebrate yourself. Do you know how that creates new neural pathways? The simplest things, like Gabby cleaned her fucking bathroom when she's sick. Like that's something
I
to
was so
celebrate.
excited.
Exactly. You don't hear her saying, "Oh man, now I didn't do all this," which the brain can do. My brain does
Yeah.
that all the fucking time. I have a lot of Virgo energy. It loves to harp on what's wrong and not perfect.
Yep.
So I just wanted to kind of add that. So have fun with this week's recalibration. It's really, really good. And we always welcome DMs with your questions, your thoughts, your insight, your requests for future shows as well. Okay.
Yeah. Any topic that you guys feel like either myself or Nicolette can speak on. Nicolette is a lot more trained and has a lot more education dealing with this stuff. I just have lived experience, and that's the angle I come from this at. But yeah, DM us.
I and to speak to that, like I had to get off the training wheel, like literally, like certification after. See, I was doing that
Yeah,
thing, finding
yeah,
safety in continuing education.
yeah,
I had to stop. I had to stop. So thank you. Direct experience, I believe, is one of the biggest ways to fucking learn in this world. It's not outside of yourself in a degree. That's just
yeah.
my
Absolutely. No,
thing.
absolutely.
You're
But a lot of
in.
times you have the language, like the clinical language, the psychological terms that I haven't studied or looked up yet. So yeah.
But do you know how I appreciate how you read science and like you come with the facts? Like my brain is so burnt out. I had to write a thesis for my master's. I literally couldn't read a book for like 5 years after that. My brain was just like, don't give me another goddamn fact. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming back to the show, let's close it out. So
All
maybe
right.
the question this week isn't how do you make your life safe enough that you never feel activated? Maybe it's more how do you build a life where you don't have to keep recovering from the way you're living it, please?
That is such a powerful statement because, like, for a long time, I just thought recovering from BS was just a normal part of life. I just thought that was life.
Yeah, a lot of people do because
Yeah.
capitalism and patriarchy benefit from it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Why do we have to constantly recover? I always I feel like life should be easier. The way I envision life is so much easier.
Can be, and it
I
is.
feel like we overcomplicating things.
100. All right, what's
But
your
yeah.
close?
And maybe being anchored isn't about becoming unaffected, right? That's not what being anchored is. It's knowing that whatever moves around you, whatever comes your way, you know how to come home back to yourself.
Yes. That's
Yes.
so beautiful. So beautiful. Come back home to yourself. That is the ultimate piece because we've been hearing we're in unprecedented times for how motherfucking long.
Since
Okay.
I've been alive.
Okay. So if by now you don't realize you are peace, you are home everywhere you go. If you don't live by
Yeah.
that, then so
Everything's unprecedented.
exactly. Thank you so much, Gabby. Thank you so much to every beautiful human, beautiful being that joined us today and those that are going to watch the replay. This is Decode Disrupt.
All right. Before, do you have any final thoughts for this episode? I know
No,
I did it last week.
I appreciate you asking. I feel so seen and complete. I appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
No issues. All right. Where insight meets interruption. Thank you
All
guys for joining us.
right. We'll catch you on the next one. Be well.